We're live, man. Oh, I had some technical difficulties. Y'all know how that goes with the internet, and so it wanted to act up, guys. So I do apologize for my tardiness, but you guys come on in, because I'm telling you, you don't want to miss tonight. You don't want to miss tonight. I'm telling you, you do not want to miss tonight. So come on in. Make sure when you come on, tell me where you're from. Say hello in the room. Um, send my favorite emojis for you guys that understand my favorite emojis. So I got two favorite emojis. All right. So if you've been tuning in with us for this real life relationship podcast, a blueprint to healthy love, make sure you send my favorite emojis when you log on. Okay. I love to see that. All right. So we're gonna give a couple seconds, because I know some people thought maybe tonight was canceled, but it's not. We just had some technical difficulties. The internet was tripping, y'all. And I've been hearing that a lot, man, just lately, with a lot of different people saying that their internet services have been acting up. So I wonder what that is, man. It's just across the board. It's not even just one provider. It's multiple providers, where right now, and people's internet is acting up. So I don't know, man. We got this war situation going on and all this stuff. So who knows, man? Who knows what's going on? All we can do is pray, right? We can pray. So we're gonna give us a couple seconds, about another minute before we get started, because we did get started late. And so bear with us, bear with us. So again, if you are tuning in, wherever you're tuning in from, put my favorite emojis. Let's get it, let's get it, let's get it. All right. I'm excited about tonight, because we started this lesson last week, and so we're gonna have part two um, of this episode. And these are threats to our relationships, right? And so I'm telling you, you want to know, you want to be informed, especially for you guys that are dating. This is imperative for you to understand the threats to your relationships, the deal breakers to your relationships. A lot of times we don't understand that until it's too late. And so for you guys that are already in your marriages and stuff, this is how you can be able to expose things that have been hindering your relationship. Okay. All right. So, yeah. So also, too, I'm thinking about actually having an official real life relationship podcast channel on YouTube, and just because I know with I have this streaming platform that I do, and I'm streaming from multiple platforms. But what happens is everything is delayed, so you guys' responses are delayed. And so I'm thinking that what I'll do is just get a YouTube channel, and just kind of stream from the YouTube channel, and then just kind of post little snippets of our episodes on my other avenues, like the Facebook, the LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, and all that. So I think that's what I want to do. Put in the comment section. I mean, because I don't do this, y'all. It took me a long time to do this. So I don't know. It just seems, as I've been doing this since February, it just seems that maybe I just need to stream on one platform, and just kind of push everybody to that one platform, which will be the Real Life Relationship official channel on YouTube. And if there's some other platforms I need to do it on, because I think somebody, was talking about Spotify, something, or something else that I should get on. So y'all let me know in the comment section, because I'm new to this. So just let me know. I just want to get the word out. I just want to help couples and help people that are looking to be in relationships one day, that may be afraid to jump back in a relationship because of all they've been through. So that's my heart. I just want to help people. So, however we can get the word out, you guys just let me know. So put in the chat, give me some ideas of what you've heard and what you know about when it comes down to streaming on different platforms, and, what I should do. All right. All right. So we just took a little bit of time. Like I said earlier, I had some technical difficulties, y'all. So that's why we're starting late tonight. Just when your internet is not working right, it just is what it is. So we're back up and running. We're good. And so let's get started with part two. All right. All right. So let me cut the music. I love the music in the background. It's so cool. But we're gonna get started, man. We're gonna buckle in. We about to get it. going. We about to get it popping. All right. And so, all right. So let me get my notes. And again, make sure you guys invite people. You guys can invite people. Just give them the link to wherever you're tuning in, or if you're on Facebook, it's very easy. Just like, make a comment. Make sure you tag at least 5 people and share it, and that's how people will be able to get it as well. All right. So without further ado, we're gonna get started, and we're gonna pick up where we left off. Right. Who remember where we left off? You guys, let's see who was listening last week. Who remembers where we left out? Which threat did we end on? Who remembers? Who remembers where we left from last week? Let's see. Let me get this over here. There we go. Who remembers? There we go. Who remembers? All right. Make sure when you come in, make sure you send my favorite emojis. Make sure you say hello to the room wherever you are, so that I know that you're on. And again, if you got questions, put them in the chat box because I want to hear from you and I want to be able to help you. All right. And so as we open every week, we always say healthy relationships don't happen by accident. They happen and they're built with intention, right? And so that's the thing. If you're being proactive, you won't be reactive, all right? And so that's pretty much what it is, okay? A lot of times in our relationships, we are reactive. We always reacting to stuff. And when you're always in reactive mode, like the battle is halfway over already. And unless you're able to compose yourself and be able to deal with your emotions. A lot of times, 9 times 10, we're not able to overcome that. So, we want to be proactive instead of reactive. All right. My man, Pastor Tracy in the building, in the house, in the virtual house. Good to see you, Pastor Tracy. God bless you, man. Good to have you on. All right. And so this the thing, like, man, we don't want to be reactive. We want to be proactive. So healthy relationships don't happen by accident. They're built with intention. Okay. And so just like last week, we were talking about the silent killers, these threats that destroy our relationships. Right. And so we talked about 3 last week. We talked about 3. If you in the chat, if you can tell us what were the 3 that we talked about last week, what were the 3? Okay. What were the 3? Because we have a few of them. And so we're going to finish those up tonight. And so I just want to give us a good, just healthy dosage of understanding these silent killers, and the reason why I say the silent killers, because they don't just show up. Like a lot of times, like they're very subtle. They're subtle and it's like, it's like sweeping dirt under a rug. You won't see it at first, but if you keep sweeping dirt under that rug, you're going to see that hump. And so it's the same thing. These silent killers are things that literally can go unnoticed sometimes or unchecked. I won't say unnoticed, but unchecked. They will go unchecked because we will see them as minute or, not that big of a deal. And what happens is over time, man, they just kill the very life in your relationship. Okay. And so we talked about 3 of these things. Number 1, we said lack of respect, right? We talked about lack of respect. You guys know every week, when we give these, when I'm doing these teachings, I'm gonna have some Bible verses that back up what I'm saying. So that Ephesians 5:33, summed it up when Apostle Paul was talking to the church of Ephesus, and he was telling them that hey, look at this, fellas, love your wife like you love yourself, right? And wife, respect your husband, right? And so that's the thing, like, respect is foundational, right? It's foundational. If you don't have respect, it's your relationship is not going to work. But this is the thing, because of the butterfly effect, when we first get together and because of getting to know each other, sometimes people will, like, well, that's okay. They didn't mean it. Or, we can work on it. And it's just like, sometimes there are deal breakers that we can't go past. And that's what this is what this teaching is about, for you guys to be aware of the deal breakers. Okay. And what I mean by deal breaker is that it breaks the deal. Until that is, situated, until that is rectified, like, you have to stay out of that relationship from going further, because that's a silent killer. That's one of the main ones. And disrespect comes in many different ways, and we talked about that, when people are constant criticizing somebody, some people can take it to public embarrassment where they'll do stuff out in public to embarrass the person on purpose. You got people that dismiss your opinions, dismiss you in total and like, devalue who you are, devalue your opinions, devalue what you have to say, even body language with the eye rolling and, and different things and all of that. We do that stuff, and those are signs of disrespect. And if you don't check that, it will get worse, right? It'll get worse. Some people being sarcastic, about things, and then being sarcastic on purpose because what they're trying to do is sugarcoat what they're trying to say, and they try to make a joke out of it, but it actually they know they're trying to hurt. They're trying to like, hurt you because they hurt. So, but it's a lack of respect. Okay, it's a lack of respect. And so many people can handle disagreement, but few people can thrive, right? Where there's consistent, dishonoring. All right. Few people can thrive. Few people, ain't many people that can thrive where there's this consistent thing of dishonoring one another. Okay. And so we talked about that. And you could go back to that and you could be able to view that. Okay. The second threat we talked about is lack of communication. Talking about Proverbs 18:21, talking about life and death is in the power of the tongue. And so I'm not going to go through more, but I talked about some communication killers, like how people can be interrupting one another while each other is talking. Somebody getting defensive in the conversation, somebody assuming what they understand the other person's motives to be, right? Instead of listening to understand, they listen to respond or to judge the situation. And as a result, they assume what they think they know, and that will lead to a communication killer because now people are going to take offense to that. And now we could be arguing about the actual problem instead of dealing with the problem, right? People that shut down emotionally, right? That just are shut down because they just don't know how to process their feelings, don't know how to not take things personal, so they shut down. You got those people that just refuse to listen. They just be like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to talk. Like, I don't want to deal with you. Or they just walk away. They just walk right out of your presence like you're not even talking to them. So those are extreme. And those things are communication killers. And so a lot of couples do a lot of talking, but not a lot of couples do a lot of communicating, because talking is just exchanging information, right? But communication is exchanging understanding. So a lot of couples talk at each other, but that's just you exchanging information. And some couples, only one person talk, the other person don't even talk. So, but even if you're talking, you're just exchanging information. But communication is when we exchange understanding, when we're literally listening to understand and we're comprehending what the other person is saying. Okay. So our goal is not simply just to speak to one another and to talk at one another. The goal is actually to be able to communicate, to be understood. That's the goal. And some people make the goal, I just want you to hear me. So that's what it is. And they don't care about understanding. They just want to be heard. Like, you don't want to do that. We talked about that. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago about people that just want to be heard and not people that want to be understood. And so we have to be careful with that because that is selfish and it would definitely hurt your relationship if your whole stance is you want to be heard and not be understood. And you have some people that because the way they grew up, the trauma they grew up with, the environments they grew up with, where they might have been less than or insignificant, they get in these relationships and now they want to make up for lost time. So it's like, I want to be heard. And it's just like when you're in a relationship, I'm sorry, it's not about being heard. It's about being understood. So we have to pivot. We have to change and pivot around that and refocus our lens on not just being heard to talk, but being, talking to understand. Okay. All right. So that's threat number 2. Again, both of these threats are deal breakers. If you're having these issues in your relationship, you have to get help. Second of all, if you are not married, then you need to halt your relationship and get some help. If you're married, then again, now these things are being exposed. Now you have to deal with them. All right. You have to deal with them. Because again, these are silent killers. A lot of times we just overlook these things and we just, kind of push them under the rug. And the longer you're in that relationship together, And the less attention you bring to these things to deal with them, the more they're going to snuff out the any type of life in your relationship, right? And some people wait so late till they were like, well, I done fell out of love with you. There's no such thing as falling out of love, because love is not a feeling. Love is a choice. So you don't fall out of love. You choose to not love somebody based upon how you feel or whatever is happening. But you don't fall out of love, because love is not a feeling. It's a response. We love, so we respond. God gave us that. For God so loved the world that he responded by giving his son, Jesus. No matter what we did, the Bible says while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. So it wasn't even about if we was respecting God. It wasn't even about if we deserved it. He loved us, so he gave. So love is a response. It's not a condition, and it's not a feeling. Love is a response. Okay. Amen, somebody. All right. So threat number 3 was lack of forgiveness. And you have a lot of people holding unforgiveness in their heart, right? And we said Colossians 3:13 was the verse behind that. And again, for sake of time, I'm not going to get into that. But unforgiveness keeps the relationship stuck in yesterday, right? Like, because we can't, when we have unforgiveness, we're not able to move forward. Even though life is moving forward, and like situations, jobs, careers are moving forward, we could not move forward. A lot of people are not moving forward as a couple because they're stuck in yesterday because of unforgiveness. So because of that unforgiveness, they have walls up. They are protecting themselves. So there's no communication because we're defensive and we're offended. And so now we're just stuck. And life is moving on. Life is going on, but we're stuck. You have some couples that's been married 20 years, but they've never actually had a marriage. Why? Because the only thing that looked like a marriage was the paper that the pastor signed or whoever did the wedding signed. But the rest of that don't look. And I'm telling you, I've counseled couples, and I've even seen couples that have went through that. I mean, you guys remember Israel Houghton and his wife. And, a lot of people thought that he got married so fast, and then he broke the news. It was like, hey, me and my wife have been separated for a few years. So nobody knew that, but they were trying, that's a bad place to get to when you're just roommates. It's a bad place to get to where you're just married on paper. It's a bad place to be in if that's even happening from the beginning and you don't know how to turn the corner. A lot of times there's some unforgiveness there. All right. There's some unforgiveness for whatever reason or whatever happened, whether it's your past, so you're not trusting right now in the present, where if they hurt you and you don't know how to let go of that. So you're stuck in yesterday and you're not able to move into the present or even plan for the future. So that happens a lot. So that lack of forgiveness it hurts, man. And like those old wounds will literally become new arguments, where those wounds that if you're not healed from, they just gonna start new arguments. Like, because it's like you're hurt. So because you got that unforgiveness, soon as something look like something that person hurt you by, you ready to attack it. You ready like a pit bull on a chihuahua, like you're on top of it. And so we have to be careful about that, because with those old offenses, they'll become new arguments, but also, they will become barriers in your relationship. So you can't go forward because you got that wall up. I don't trust. I got distrust. You hurt me. So, I don't know what to do with that. And so when people say they don't know what to do with that, what they're saying is, I can't go forward with you because I have a fear of the unknown. So but I don't know what to do. Well, I don't understand. Or, this is all I got. They've given up. They right here. This all they can see. This all they feel, and they're not going forward. And I don't care how much you try to push them forward, how you try to pull them forward, they can't see past their emotion. Okay. So though the unforgiveness sets those barriers up in our life, unforgiveness will start new arguments. Unforgiveness will do that, y'all. Okay. And what happens is our relationship takes on the shape of a courtroom and not a partnership, right? So somebody's always on trial. And if you got somebody that's dealt with a lot of trauma in their past and they got a lot of insecurity and fear, what's going to happen is that the person that is on trial is going to be on trial with a person that is holding them accountable. They're going to be the judge, the jury, and the execution. They're going to be all three of them because they don't trust. They got the unforgiveness. They feel some type of way. So you're gonna feel like that person literally is not only the judge, they're gonna feel like the jury, and they're gonna execute the sentence on you, right? And so that happens a lot. And a lot of times at the bottom of that, at the minute stage of that is unforgiveness. Okay. So we have to understand that. All right. So again, if you missed last week's lesson, you want to go back and view it because we talked about that in detail last week for all three of those threats. Amen. All right. So welcome everybody for tonight. We got to get started with part 2. We're going to go to threat number 4. And again, these threats are deal breakers. So they're silent killers. So a lot of times some people don't really understand how serious they are until it's too late. And we've had a lot of divorces over the course of history because people did not recognize these silent killers. All right. So even if your relationship is good, this is still good information for you because it gives you a checklist so that you can see the signs of silent killers that try to come into your relationship where you immediately deal with it. All right. And you guys know every week I give you guys a practical tool that's going to help you. And so you want to stay tuned. Again, you want to share this to your feed. You want to invite some people in because I'm telling you, this is going to help some people. It's going to help some people. All right. And so let's go to number 4. All right. And this is a big one. This is a big one. This should be self-explanatory. Lack of trust, right? Lack of trust. Threat number 4 is lack of trust. And then we look at Proverbs 3:5 because I have a Bible verse for each one of them. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, right? Lean not to your own understanding, but acknowledge God in all your ways, and he will direct your path. All right. So I gave you 5 and 6 of them. That's my life verse. I give you both of them. But trust the Lord with all your heart, right? Lean not to your own understanding. That's what we want. We have to trust God with all our heart. The Bible don't say trust him with your mind, say with your heart. Because see, our mind thinks stuff all the time, but out of the heart flow the issues of life, as the word of God says. Out of the heart determines the course of our life. Out of the heart, the mouth speaks. This is all the word of God. So that's why the Lord is saying here in Proverbs, and this book was written by one of the most wisest men to ever walk the face of the earth, King Solomon. He said, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not to your own understanding. And guess what? He should know because he got himself in a lot of trouble, right? Because of him, the tribes were split into 2 kingdoms, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, because of his foolery, right? So he would know that, look, man, you got to trust God with all your heart. Lean not to your own understanding because you won't be like me. See, me, I made some mistakes in my life. And so, I love, his book, Ecclesiastes, because he talks about there's nothing new under the sun. And he talks about all these different things as he's, reflecting on his life. He made a lot of bad decisions, people, especially when it came down to women. That man had 1,000 women. How, 1,000, y'all. Like, what? Like 1,000 women. But, hey, the apple ain't fall too far from the tree. Remember his dad. When his dad didn't touch the woman in the bed, they thought he was dead because David was known for loving women. So it did that generational cycle, that weight passed right to Solomon. And because of Solomon, he took it to a whole nother level, right? And so that situation with Solomon, he wrote this letting us know, like, hey, you got to trust God with all your heart. Don't lean to your own understanding. All right. And we have to do that in relationships because trust is the currency in our relationship. That's how you build your relationship. Like if you don't have any trust, you don't have a relationship. A relationship can't be relational unless there's trust that makes it relational, that brings it together, that brings it a bond, a unified structure, a system. There has to be trust to bring it together. All right. And so when you have trust between both people, relationships can feel very secure. You can feel secure in that. But when trust is broken, every interaction can become questionable. I wonder this. Oh, are they being truthful with me? Are they really telling the truth? Are they this and that? Oh, let me check their phone. Oh, let me check their Facebook. Oh, let me check their call log. Oh, let me check their Instagram. Oh, let me check their TikTok. See, that's the thing. When trust is broken, every interaction can become questionable. You're in a courtroom. You're not literally giving the person the benefit of the doubt, and that person will feel like they're on trial all the time. And that makes it worse, y'all, because what we got to understand is like when we start holding people accountable for stuff that people haven't done, some people with the human flesh be like, well, you blame me for it anyway. Excuse me. Ate some pizza, y'all. You blaming me for it anyway, but might as well do it since you gon' some people think like that. I don't suggest anybody think like that, but you do have some people that think like that. Well, you blame me for it anyway. You gonna come at my head. I might as well do it, and so that when you blame me, at least I did it. That's just crazy to do, but a lot of people will do that. They will be drove to do stuff that they would have normally done because of the frustration of a person not trusting them. All right. So that is hard, but it puts you in a court of law when trust is broken. Your conversations are courtroom environments. There is no coming together and being peaceful and honoring each other and communicating and loving and being emotional, intimate with each other. No, you have courtroom environments in your relationship. So everything is like everybody's on trial, right? So we don't want to do that because, and so we got to look at how do we build trust? Well, first of all, we build trust through being honest. We have to be honest. I taught this about 2 years ago when I started a podcast about 2 years ago, and I probably did like 4 episodes. And I taught this about 2 years ago. All right, get that throat crud. But I taught this is like we need to be honest even to a thought with our spouses, with our significant others. Be honest even to a thought because the thing is that you don't know what that thought is trying to do to you, and so you need to be like, hey, you know, I just want to be honest with you, man. My man, I've been tripping lately. Like the way my mind been working, man. My mind been wandering this and that. I've been, like really not studying my word, or like be honest. Because what's going to happen is teamwork going to make the dream work. Now your spouse can pray for you. But if you're sitting there like, man, I ain't worrying about that thought. It is what it is. And if you don't deal with that thought and it gets in your heart, oh yeah, game over. Because now you're going to be reacting based upon what's in your heart. That's why the Bible says, trust in the Lord with all your heart, not your mind. That's why David said, thine word have I hidden in thine heart, not my head. I hid it in my heart so that I don't sin against you, because out of the heart determines the course of our life. And so we can get thoughts all the time, but we don't want those thoughts to germinate so that they get into our heart. Because when those thoughts get into our heart, then we respond based upon what's in our heart, not based upon up here. Because some of y'all be sitting right in church and say, man, I'm hungry. Man, how long the service going to be today? Man, how long pastor going to preach today? Man, I wanted the Saints, man, who they playing today when football season come around? Man, you know what? Man, they ain't been winning nothing. And the message is going right on. And you sitting there looking at the preacher, but in your mind, you're thinking about everything else, right? Now, if that got in your heart and you be like, man, the Saints in the playoffs today, man, look at the time. Man, they already done started. Oh, man, I got to support my dudes. And now you getting emotional about it. It's getting in your heart. And guess what's going to happen? You're going to get up and leave. You're going to go because I got to see it. I got to support my guys. I got to be there. So what's in your heart is what's going to come out. Okay. And so we have to be careful of that. So, we have to also understand trust is rarely destroyed overnight. It's very like a small percentage that trust will be destroyed like over one situation. It's usually impacted by one broken promise at a time, right? And so, again, trust is built through honesty. We have to be transparent. We have to be consistent in our honesty and transparency. We got to be accountable, right? Sometimes people don't like accountability, but you got to have accountability. So if they be like, hey, like, what's going on? So you got to tell your spouse what's going on. You can't say like, man, you being nosy, touch your nose. Oh, that's wrong. Like, man, why you all in my Kool-Aid and don't know the flavor? That's wrong. Like your spouse can ask you whatever you need to tell them. All right. All right. And spouses, don't use that to the advantage because of your insecurities. And then and that's a whole nother lesson. And so sometimes people can take advantage of that open and honesty and because of their insecurity. So you don't want to do it that way. But if there's something that literally needs to be talked about, your spouse has the right to ask you and to hold you accountable to that. Because if they don't, who will? Your spouse is the one that knows you more than anybody else because you live with them. All right. So again, all right. And then integrity. There has to be integrity. All right. There has to be integrity. Integrity. All right. All right. There has to be integrity. So Couples, I want you guys to write down, and people and singles too. You guys can do it too, not just couples, but singles too. What actions build trust in a relationship? What actions build trust in a relationship? Right? What actions build trust in a relationship? And let me put that down. You know what? I forgot to give you guys the other question. I had another question for you guys. Okay, what actions build trust in a relationship? All right, and I forgot to give you guys the one for unforgiveness. Why do you guys think forgiveness is so difficult for people? All right, I want y'all to talk about that. And singles, you do the same thing because these questions are for everybody. Okay, so you don't have to be in a relationship to answer these questions. All right, so why do you think forgiveness is hard and difficult for people? Okay, I forgot to give you guys that question. All right. All right, so I want you guys to discuss that. You have to discuss it now, but discuss it with your significant other, or sit down and do it with your, just some of y'all may need to self reflect based upon some of you all that have been in relationships before. You may not be in a relationship right now, like maybe you've been through some situations where you had unforgiveness in your heart, and so reflect on that. Why do you think forgiveness is so difficult for people? All right, why do you think that? Okay. And what actions build trust in relationships? All right. So let's get to threat number 5. Again, these are deal breakers in a relationship. Okay. These are deal breakers in a relationship. We have 7 of them. Okay. So last week we did 3. Today we're going to do 4. Okay. And so we already did threat number 4. We did we're about to do threat number 5. Okay. We did threat number 4. We're about to do threat number 5. And this one, y'all better lean in because y'all know me. I'm going to get into the nitty gritty. So threat number 5, this is a big one, y'all, because in today's society, with everything so hyperalized in social media and sexualized, it's at the tip of our fingers. You got to stay on top of your babies because even your babies in elementary are getting exposed to put pornography and different things like that. It's sad, but it's at the tip of their fingers. They got these phones, and these phones are more powerful than the first computer that took up 3 to 4 stories of a building. So the first supercomputer that took up 3 to 4 stories of a whole entire building, those phones we have in our hand that can fit right in our hand is more strong, more powerful, extremely more powerful than the first supercomputer that took up I think it was either 3 stories or 4 stories. That's what that computer took up. Okay, back in the day. So this threat here, man, I need y'all to lean in because it's real, and we got to talk about it. This threat is when people confuse sex with intimacy. All right. We got to talk about it because so many people in our society today, because sex is so pushed in our society, it's in our face, women dressing provocative, men dressing a certain way, that women like. So, like, we're so sexualized in today's culture and it's everywhere. And so it's easy for us to confuse sex with intimacy. And you have people that get into marriages and get into relationships because of sex, right? Right? All right, let's deal with it. Okay. Let's go to Genesis 2:24. All right. Let's go to Genesis 2:24. All right. Because y'all know I got a Bible verse for everything. All right. This is why a man leaves his father and mother and cleaves to his wife, and they become one flesh. Period. They become one flesh, right? A man leaves his mother and father and he clings or bonds to his wife, right? How many of us leave our mother and father and we cleaving and we bonding with everything but a wife? Come on, fellas. We get out of high school. Some of y'all started early. Y'all ain't even started. Y'all was still with mother and father and still was out there bonding with people and having relationships with people. But a man should leave his mother and father and cleave and bond to his wife, and they should become one flesh through the intimacy of what happens in the bed of marriage. Amen, somebody. But we are literally leaving mother and father. We bonding with everything but our wives, everything but our husbands. And we got a movement today because, again, this is Pride Month, and I'm not trying to step on nobody's toes, But man, you got men bonding with men and women bonding with women, right? And so that's the thing. Like, we got a lot of stuff going on in today's society. We got a lot of stuff going on in today's society. And we a lot of times confuse sex with intimacy. We do that. And so that's one of the greatest misunderstandings in relationships is believing that sex and intimacy are the same thing. Listen to me good. Sex and intimacy are not the same thing. Let me move this over real quick. All right. Amen, somebody. Sex and intimacy is not the same thing. It's not. They're not the same. Sex can be an expression of intimacy. It can be an expression of intimacy, but it cannot replace intimacy. We have to understand that. Can be an expression, but it cannot replace intimacy, right? Because true intimacy includes emotional safety. You don't need emotional safety to have sex. We see that in the porn industry, right? You got people making like salaries, six figures, because they giving their body on screen and people are paying for it. So you don't need emotional safety to have sex, right? And so that's why sex can be an expression of intimacy, but it necessarily is not intimacy, and it definitely cannot replace intimacy, because we got great examples today in the porn industry that is a $1 billion industry where people are not emotionally attached or feeling safe to the people that they are having relationship with, right? Amen, somebody. So true intimacy includes emotional safety. Sex don't have to include that. All right. And some of you all know that. You've been in some situations, you have some one night stands, and it was just the heat of passion. There was nothing intimate about it. There was no emotional safety about it. It was all passion. It was about you just doing you because you was feeling you and you wanted what you wanted. So you went and did what you wanted to do. There's nothing intimate about that. That's passion. Okay. But true intimacy includes emotional safety, right? True intimacy includes vulnerability. And there's some people that have literally got married and they still don't understand what it means to be vulnerable. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't know what it means to be vulnerable, your marriage is not going to make it. Even if you stay together, your marriage will only be on paper. It will never make it, because the two cannot become one if they're not two people being vulnerable to one another. Amen, somebody. All right. So true intimacy includes being vulnerable. We have to be vulnerable. Another thing, true intimacy includes friendship. We got to be friends. We got to like each other, right? Not saying that you're not going to have days when you don't like each other, but that's the thing about love. Love is a choice. So even when you might not be feeling the person right then and there, the love is going to get you to respond in the right way toward your spouse because you love them. It's a choice. It's not a feeling. If we made love a feeling, who gonna stay married? Nobody. That's why, when they were saying like, who can stay married? It's hard to stay married. Remember they told Jesus that when Jesus was preaching to him about, Moses gave the, certificate of divorce, and he was telling him how, that was never supposed to be. And Jesus was telling him like, this is what you got to do. This is how you got to do it. And this is the only reason you get divorced. And they like, man, who can stay married? Because they was in their feelings. They had to realize that love is a choice. It's not a feeling. Love is a choice. Love is not conditional. It's a choice. Okay? It's a choice. So friendship is a sign of true intimacy. There are couples they're not friends. They know how to act in public and do whatever they do, but when they come home, they barely even talk to each other. They barely even deal with each other. They're not friends. That's not intimacy. You can have sex in the bed. And see, man, let me break it down. Because the thing is, you got some people they don't talk all day, but then they get in the bed and be vulnerable. But yet they can't be vulnerable emotionally, right? They can't have a vulnerable conversation, but they can expose their bodies and have a vulnerable session of physical intimacy, supposedly, right? And so you have people that literally what happens is, because that's the only way they bond physically, that their whole relationship is literally hanging based upon that physical bond, right? That's not intimacy. That's not intimacy, y'all. And that can actually become a codependency when literally you got two people that are together because they're so emotionally wrapped into each other, not in an intimate way, but in a sexual way, that what happens is there's a soul tie. There's a soul tie. right? There's a soul tie. There's things that begin to, so they can't even get away. It's like, man, you remember Baby Boy, Jody and Yvette, right? Prime example, very toxic relationship, but they kept coming back to each other, right? They kept coming back to each other. They relationship with, I hate you, Jody. All this stuff. I can't stand. They was always hollering at each other. They was always fussing at each other. They was always cussing out each other. All of that. There's no intimacy in that. But they had soul ties because they had been sleeping together, and as a result, they bonded physically, but there was no intimacy. And that's a bad place to be in when your whole relationship is about sex. And that's the only way you guys feel good about your relationship is when you're doing that. That's the only way you can communicate the fact, quote, that you love each other is when you're in that place. That's a bad place because that's not communicating love. It's not. That's just passion. All right. Let me see. We got a question. If you be friends first, intimacy be fine. Yes. If you become friends first, like, because again, and I'm gonna teach on this, y'all, but I'm trying to see if I'm gonna put it in the book first before I actually teach on it. Because y'all know how people is, but I might teach on it. But I'm gonna teach on the different intimacies. There's so many different intimacies, and so we have to know them and recognize them. And so, there's a whole bunch of intimacies. There's like 12 of them. There's 12 intimacies. Some of y'all probably like, what, man, what you talking about? Yes, there's like 12 different types of intimacies that we just sum up into one as intimacy. And that's why we struggle with it, because we don't understand that there's different layers to this thing. You got the sexual intimacy, but you also got the emotional intimacy. You got the spiritual intimacy, right? For you guys that are Christians, and when you pray with your spouse, that's an intimate connection. When you're holding hands or you're holding each other and you're praying for one another, that's an intimate moment, spiritual intimacy. You got recreational intimacy, which we like to do when we go out and have fun together. We go out to dinner. See, that's an intimate time. So again, and I'm just giving you I gave you like 4 of them, but there's like 12 of them. Okay. So I'm going to teach them, but we need to be intentional with these things. We need to be intentional with these intimacies. And the most important one is emotional intimacy. That's why true intimacy includes emotional safety, because we have to have emotional intimacy. The emotional intimacy is what brings us together. Not the sex, not the physical physiques and how we look. Because guess what? Keep on living. Some of y'all that's in y'all 60s, y'all know y'all don't look like y'all did when y'all was in your 20s, right? So keep on living, because that physical attraction is only gonna last for so long while your bodies are in that shape. But if that's the only thing holding you together, then you're not gonna stay together, right? Because those bodies, like they get older, right? They start breaking down. So the thing is that physical attraction can't keep you. All right. So we got to learn how to be intimate in those different areas. Okay. All right. All right. All right. Let's keep it moving. All right. So, let me address this. I'm glad that just came on mind. This is how we get the Hollywood stuff, right? You see these Hollywood actors be in relationships, for 2 and 3 years. A lot of them, they act on the set as they're dating, and they get intertwined physically with each other, and they date in real life, and it's HELL, right? And so the thing is that they get like passionate on the set because they're acting, but their body don't know that they're acting. And so what happens is they really feel like they feeling each other, because they take what was happening on screen where they had to be like that and act like that. And now, literally, they feel like they're supposed to date, or they're meant to be. And sometimes it works, but a lot of times it don't work, because you cannot get together based upon that physical attraction like that. Now that should be initial, but it's like you shouldn't base everything on initial attraction, and then you skip all the stages of dating. You go from acquaintance to sex, and then to marriage, and you skip like 5 stages, right? And you wonder why your relationship is not working. You didn't even get to the dating phase. You skipped the dating phase because you went right to bed with them. So it's like once you go to bed with them, that's like you're married, right? That's that. If we look at how God instituted sex, that was the thing that couples did when they got married to constitute the marriage. right? That when you man, I hope we ain't got no kids on here. I'm gonna see if I can say this the right way without, but when you go into the bed of marriage, and men, you be intimate with that woman, and you break the, that is a sign of a that's like the blood, like a blood covenant, like with your wife. Because like when you break that it's like you unwrapping a package, right? It's so interesting how the body is, and how God made the body. But like that thing don't supposed to be broken until your marriage, your wedding night, right? And so in our culture, we have made it okay to not wait to marriage. But the problem is that when we do that prematurely, we develop these soul ties. And as a result, we're married when we should be in the dating process. So what happens is like you got somebody that's emotional, more into the relationship than the other person. And then the thing is, what happens is that now this thing is off balance. So now what you have in sex, now you can't think straight, because the sex is like clouding your brain. So it's like, man, you see the warning signs, but because you having sex, it's like, well, you just optimistic, because it's like, man, I don't want to let this go because this is good. Can we just be honest? Come on, y'all. I done a lot of counsel with people, and so I heard a lot of stories. You know what I'm saying? And I've known myself. You know what I'm saying? So I've been in some predicaments throughout my life. Not many, but I've been in some predicaments. You see what I'm saying? And so I've known before I became a pastor and all that kind of stuff and all of that. Like, like it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But this is the thing. It's like what happens is that you're in this place where you don't see the reality when you go into one another in that intimate way. And so now what happens is this physical connection literally could look like it's really an intimate connection, and it's not. That's why the physical can't hold you when you get to a place where you just get fed up and just like, man, forget it. I'm done. That tell you right there, there was no intimacy. That tell you right there, there was no love there, because love is a choice. We have to make the choice to love. And so now we see people doing the Hollywood thing, one night stands, 10 day, 10 day relationships, or 1 month they moving in together. Like, man, that's crazy. You don't even know the person in 1 month, and you're moving together. You're connecting everything together. You're putting everything together. Then you buy a house together and all this, and then you get stuck because now it's like, who gonna take the house? Who gonna do this? Well, we can't afford to have two houses. So some people just stay together because financially they can't afford to separate. They can't afford to divorce. I know couples that's like that. Couples plural. Okay. So that's why we cannot literally confuse sex with intimacy, because some people get married based upon the sex and not because of the intimacy, through the friendship, through the vulnerability, through the trust, through the transparency. If you're not having this in your relationship, and if you're having sex, I'm pretty sure from what I know and what my experience is, your relationship is not about intimacy. Your relationship is about passion, and it's through the sex. All right. So that's why you don't want to have sex before marriage, because it clouds your judgment. Things will look a certain way and they're not. Okay. So again, if you want to know that your relationship has intimacy in it, there needs to be emotional safety. There needs to be vulnerability on both parts. There needs to be this friendship. There needs to be trust intact. There needs to be transparency. There needs to be openness. There needs to be a spiritual connection between you guys. If you don't have that in your relationship now, and you're married, now you have something that you need to start doing. You guys need to find out why we can't be emotionally safe and talk about that. Why are we vulnerable? And get to the bottom of that. And if you need help, get a trusted coach or an advisor or a counselor that can help you. But don't say, man, I'm done. I quit. This ain't gonna work because we not intimate. We just was having sex. No, don't do that, because you're together now. So what you do is look and lean into these avenues. If you're single, you can start reflecting on, man, did I make these mistakes in my last relationship? You can start reflecting on that if you're single. So when you go to your next relationship, you'll know, man, I'm not having sex before marriage, because if I do, this could cloud my judgment. I can literally think it's intimacy. Now I'm gonna play the housewife. I'm gonna play the house husband, and it's all out of whack. It's all out of whack. Because I'm gonna tell you about that. Okay, when we talk about the 5 levels of emotional intimacy, all right, and how you can literally know what stage of the dating process that you're in based upon what level of intimacy that you both are on. And so I have a whole scale on how to even be able to recognize where you are emotionally in the situation. All right. So, and that's definitely going to be in the book because that's going to help people be able to date correctly. Because there's many stages to dating, from going to acquaintances to marriage. There's many stages in between that we skip because our culture makes it okay for us to just jump from acquaintances right into the bed of marriage. And we just think that that's just the way we do it. And we wonder why we can't get it together. We wonder why emotions are all over the place because there's no real commitment when you just jumping into those type of places and your emotional intimacy has not matched your passion and your desire for that physical touch. And that's why people be confused, and that's why people be double-minded. And the Bible says a double-minded person is unstable in all their ways. So that's why you can see some emotionally instability in these relationships because it's off balance. The sex is way up here, and the emotional intimacy is way down here. So the sex is up here, the emotional intimacy is down here, and there's a big gap, right? And so we have to balance that. Those are intimacies, like really your emotional intimacy should be more than your sexual intimacy, because the more emotional intimacy you have, the better the sexual intimacy is going to be, and the better all the rest of the intimacy is going to be. So we want to shoot for emotional intimacy that it comes with emotional safety. Amen. All right. So let's look at it. What helps you feel emotionally connected to your spouse? And I want you to ask each other that. Again, if you're not with your spouse right now, go back and view this. But I want you to ask your spouse when you get the chance. And if you're dating, ask your the person that you're dating or you're engaged to, ask them the same thing. If you're single, you can still answer that. What does, because you've been through some stuff, you've been through it. So what helps you feel emotionally connected to whoever you're dating? And whoever you used to date, because you might uncover some stuff by asking yourself that question and reflecting and be like, you know what, man, I really, there was no intimacy. It was all passion. It was all lust, just call it what it is. It wasn't love. It was lust. All right. Because lust, you could fall out of lust, but you can't fall out of love. Ooh, that's a message within itself. You could fall out of lust. And many people, when they say they fall out of love, it wasn't love. It was lust. They weren't in love, because in love is a choice. You don't fall out of that. You make the choice to not love anymore. There is no falling out of love. Amen, somebody. All right, let's go to threat number 6. We breaking this thing down. Threat number 6. And this is a big one. A lot of people struggle with this threat. Again, these are silent killers. Okay. All of these are silent killers. And these silent killers are deal breakers. A lot of times people don't recognize it until it's too late. And these silent killers have caused a lot of divorces over time. Okay. So this whole lesson is to help you guys be able to have the blueprint to healthy love. Okay. Again, that's what this is, real life relationship, the blueprint to healthy love. I'm giving you the blueprint and for you guys to deal with these things. Okay. All right. So threat number 6 is pride, right? Pride. Pride. And again, Proverbs 16:18. Pride comes before destruction, and an arrogant spirit before a fall. Plain and simple. Pride comes before destruction, and somebody that's arrogant before a fall. Plain and simple. So pride is often the hidden issue behind many relationship problems. It's a silent. And I did a message a few years back on pride being a silent killer. It really is. Pride is a silent killer, and if we're not careful, man, it'll eat us up. It'll eat us up. All right. So pride can cause us to refuse being corrected. Right. It can cause. Now, some people some people it's hard for them to be corrected, but when you're prideful, you will refuse correction. Pride would have you avoiding accountability. Okay, listen to this, because some of you all about to see, like, is that you? Are you the person that's avoiding accountability? Are you the person in your relationship that refuses correction? Are you the person in the relationship that struggles to apologize? Okay. Pride can cause us to struggle to apologize. And let me put this in context. Now, this is not saying that people that don't apologize from the jump, where they want to see what is going on, get to the bottom of it, and then apologize. That's a whole different level. All right. Some people just be wanting people to apologize and not even deal with the situation. Now, if that works for you, then it works for you. But for most couples, people not going to apologize for what they don't understand. Like, and when you want somebody to apologize from the beginning, just so you can hear them say it, that's not going to resolve anything. So if any of you guys are doing that, my suggestion is get to the bottom of it so that the person actually knows what they're apologizing for. And then you don't blame them from doing it again, because it's going to happen again. If you just want to apologize and they be like, babe, I'm sorry, and you good, I can guarantee it's going to happen again. Why? Because they don't even know what they're apologizing for. They just apologizing because you want them to apologize. So we got to get away from that. We got to get to the place where we expose the lies of the enemy. We deal with this dysfunction. And the only way we can do that is we got to be willing to talk about it. And then we can apologize, and it can be sincere, and we can understand, because now you got to the bottom of it. All right. So again, but with pride, even when you got to the bottom of the situation, the person struggles to apologize, right? They just don't want to apologize, period. Regardless, they're going to try to shift the blame. They're going to be like, well, if you wouldn't have done this, I wouldn't have done that, right? No, bro, you got to take some accountability. Like, regardless if they did that, you still did what you did. So even if you might say, well, you provoked me to do that, at the end of the day, you're a grown man. So at the end of the day, you got to take responsibility for your own actions, all right? Sis, same thing to you. I ain't just talking to my fellas. Same thing to you. You got to take responsibility for your own action. You can't say you made me do this, or some of y'all be talking about the devil made me do it. The devil is a lie. Nope, your flesh made you do it because you wanted to do it, because you were in your feelings, right? That's what happens. And we want to blame the devil. And sometimes people get a devil credit. He be looking like, oh, okay, I'll take the credit for it then, but I wasn't even paying no attention to you. It's like we will blame the devil for a lot of stuff, and really it's our own flesh. It's our own feelings. It's our own childhood traumas. It's what's triggering us, and we want to blame the enemy. It ain't the enemy, it's you. Because sometimes our biggest enemy is our inner me. That's how I just told the church Sunday that, right? Every so often I remind people of that. The biggest enemy that we face is a lot of time is our inner me. It's our inner me. It ain't Satan. It's our enemy, this flesh, this sin, this sinful nature. The Apostle Paul said, every time I go to do good, evil is always there. Oh, wretched man am I. You know what I'm saying? So, because he was struggling with some things, and he was just like, man, look, every time I go to do good, evil is always there, man. But I gotta fight it, because I die daily to my flesh. He also said that too. All right. So, pride. Let's get back to it. Pride can cause us to struggle to apologize, right? Pride can cause us to struggle to apologize. Pride always wants to win. Keyword always. As human beings, we want to win. But when you're prideful, you're a sore loser. You don't want to. And this is the thing. Listen good to me, y'all. When you prideful, you make it about winning, which means it becomes a competition. If the two becomes one flesh, we should be a team, not opponents, not competing against each other. And when you have pride, it's all about winning. So it don't matter what it is. Like, you don't see your spouse or your significant other as your teammate. You see them as your opponent. And when you see them as your opponent, it's game over, because now it's about who's right and who's wrong, and not about us being right, regardless of who was right and who was wrong. See, that's a whole different way of looking at stuff. So we got to get out of this place of wondering who's right and who's wrong, and get to the place that how do we get right, regardless of who was right and who was wrong? Because at the end of the day, let's just get in the place where we need to be so that we can move on from this. But pride won't let you see that. Pride gonna want you to win, 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 right? And y'all be that song. All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Yep, and that's the problem. Like, that's why you're by yourself, because all you do is win. And when all you do is win, and that's the most important thing, you're gonna end up by yourself, because you choosing yourself, because you just want to win. All right, that's one way you can look at it, right? You can look at it that way. Some people, when they say we winning means, like, by any means necessary, coming together in agreement to be able to win together. That's another way of looking at it, right? But most people, when they talk about winning, they being selfish about it. All right. So pride always wants us to win. We always want to win. We always want to come out on top. And no matter what happens to the other person, no matter what we got to do, we're going to come out on top. That's pride. Okay. All right. All right. When we humble ourselves, we seek understanding. See, pride don't seek understanding. Pride seek right and wrong. And most of the time, it's just speaking right because like, I know I'm right. You can't tell me I ain't right. I ain't listening to what you're saying. I said I ain't listening on purpose because y'all know how we get. We get ignorant when we get in our feelings. I'm not listening no more. Like, cause I know I'm right. You wrong. You tripping, man. You tripping about that. Man, you always try to, and that's what we do. We'll paint a picture. We'll do all this stuff and we're not listening to understand. We're not seeking for understanding. It don't matter who's right or wrong. The purpose is to seek for understanding, right? That's what humility does. Humility seeks for understanding. Humility also seeks for restoration. Ooh, boy, I can write a book just on this because some of us don't know how to forgive. We don't know how to forgive. We harbor this unforgiveness and we live in yesterday, as we was talking about early. That's a threat. Unforgiveness is a threat. But it definitely is prideful when we don't forgive because guess what? We won't seek for restoration. All right. Listen to me good. Restoration and reconciliation is two different things. Listen to me good. You don't have to seek for reconciliation, but you need to seek for restoration. Now, if you're in a marriage and you decide to stay in the marriage, you need to like literally do both. But if you're not in a marriage, you can seek for restoration because you need to restore your heart, your mind, right? Literally, you need to be restored because if you're not restored, that means you still got the unforgiveness. So you need to seek for that restoration. Even with that person, like you want to hope that they are restored because based upon how you feel or whatever, like they may be feeling some type of way. And it's like you want to seek for that where you want to let them off the hook. Like, look, I forgive you. I've seen, when you go to court, we don't go to court, but we watch these court movies and you see these parents that are standing in the courtroom with the people that have killed their child. And I've watched some parents go up and tell the judge, well, no, I'll take that back. I watched a young man that the dude killed his brother. And I'm telling you, it brought me to tears because the boy couldn't have been no more than about 14 or 15. And he was on fire for the Lord. And he asked the judge, he's like, Judge, can I approach him and give him a hug? And I'm like, what? And the judge was like, yes, you can. And he went and gave that man a hug and say, I forgive you. If God can forgive you, I can forgive you. I forgive you. And walked away. And the dude broke down in the courtroom. The killer broke down in the courtroom. And I was like, man, that is powerful. That's powerful. That was a sign of humility, y'all. That's a whole nother level of restoration because that man literally was being eaten up inside because they was young. And when that young man released that boy from that pain, you could see it come out of him. He just broke down, fell in the chair and everything, just broke down sobbing because he was released from the pain that he was causing that family. And that guy, because he's walking in humility again, everybody can't do that. But that's because that boy was on fire for God, and he did that. And God used him that day to change the course of that man's life while he was in prison serving that sentence for killing his brother. And humility will seek for restoration, y'all. That's a whole nother level. And a lot of us ain't ready to walk in restoration with somebody like that has hurt us to that extent. We're not looking for that, right? But this is the thing. We're not even looking for it in our marriages. We want to hold on to stuff. We want to sit here and just like literally act like, well, let's sweep it under the rug. And it's not because it's in the back of your mind. So we got to seek for restoration. All right. And definitely, if you're in a marriage, you got to seek for reconciliation. But you definitely got to seek for restoration, even if you don't be around the person. You don't have to reconcile with them, but you got to at least know that they need to know, hey, I forgive you. I ain't trying to be your friend, and I don't care if they ever speak to you again, but I'm going to let you know because you need to do that for yourself. Hey, I forgive you. And guess what? If you don't get the chance to do that, you need to see that. I've had people walk through that from a spiritual standpoint. for them to see the person in their mind when they close their eyes, and that they will imagine standing face to face with them and telling them, I forgive you. You know how many people that broke down when I had people doing that? Because they carried that burden of not being restored. Even though they said they forgave them, but they hadn't really released that thing. And so the restoration needed to happen where them actually standing face to face with that person and saying, I forgive you. I forgive you, right? I forgive you. And that's very important, y'all. It's very important. So that's a hard thing. And I walk people through it all the time. And so if you're dealing with that, if you're in a place where you have some unforgiveness and your pride, because it's pride, y'all, when we sit and say, man, I ain't doing that, man, forget it. Man, that man hurt me too much. Man, forget that. Man, he could go to HELL, all I care. That's pride. And especially if you're a Christian, that's pride, right? And that's going pride, as the Bible says, pride comes before destruction and arrogant spirit before a fall. So what happens is it's like literally this what happens. This is what we do. We sit and we will set ourselves on fire in front of the person that we got unforgiveness with. And we pray that that person would die from the smoke that's coming off of us. Think about that. We prayed that that person would die from the smoke coming off us. We would set ourselves on fire just to make a point to get that person to suffer. The problem is that you're the one that's dying because you set yourself on fire, have them die from smoke inhalation, and they ain't even think about you. So that's what happens. We got to deal with that pride because pride will lead us into destruction. Pride will lead us into places where we literally can fall into some dangerous things. We can fall and literally, fall into all kind of stuff where it'll be hard to even get back on our feet because of the pride that we are dealing with in our hearts, in our lives. Okay. All right. Next discussion question. Why is apologizing so difficult for many people? All right. And y'all contemplate that. Talk to each other about that. Okay. Why is it so hard? We talked about a few of them. You guys may know some more. Why is it so hard for people to apologize? Why is it? Why is that so hard? All right. All right. Last thing, humility will focus on growth and not winning. Humility will focus on growth, not winning. All right. And let's go to our last threat. Let's go wind this. Let's go to our last threat. All right. And this threat here is huge. This threat here is huge, y'all. And sometimes it goes unnoticed. This is really a silent killer that sometimes it really goes unnoticed. And it's simply neglect. Neglect. Let's go to Hebrews 2:1. For this reason, we must pay attention all the more to what we have heard so that we will not drift away. So that we will not drift away. Right? So most of our relationships don't just implode or explode overnight. They drift little bit by little bit, little bit by little bit. They drift. They drift, right? They drift. Why is this? Why do most relationships, they drift when you're in this type of situation? It's just like you get further away and more distant. So you look 5, 6, 7 years down the line and you guys don't even recognize each other. And then boom, it's just like, oh, I want a divorce. I don't want that. Ain't just happen overnight. That explosion, that implosion of that relationship didn't happen overnight. It drifted over nights, many months. It drifted. Why? Because couples stopped doing what brought them together. Whether it was dating, whether it was being intentional with quality time, whatever it is, couples stop dating. That's when they drift. Couples stop talking, stop trying to communicate. They stop laughing together. They stop praying together, right? They stop dreaming together. They stop investing in each other. These are the reasons why couples drift, right? And something, whenever you neglect something and whatever area you neglected in, it becomes weak. Okay? Listen to me good. Whatever And whenever you neglect something in whatever area you neglect it in, it becomes weak, right? And when it becomes weak, you're going to drift, right? You're going to drift because if you're not nurturing it, it can't grow. If you neglect it, it's going to die. So we stop dating each other. We stop laughing together. We stop being intentional with quality time. We stop being intentional with the things that actually brought us together. Our relationship is going to die because whatever you feed, it grows. Whatever you starve, it dies. That's the principle of life. Like it literally, nothing can live without you feeding it. Plants can't live without it getting sunlight and what it needs to get the photosynthesis. Plants can't live. Animals can't live without eating. They die. We as humans, we cannot live without eating, literally. Now, you could go and fast for a certain amount of time, but you can't just stop eating, period. You got to eat something. Even the children of Israel, when they were stuck in the wilderness for 40 years because of their disobedience, over 10 times where they disobeyed God, right? They never ate food or wine or beer, none of that. They ate manna from upon high, so they still had to eat, even though it's recorded that they never ate food, but they ate manna from on high. God gave them manna every day from on high. He gave them manna from on high. So they still had to eat something and they still had to drink something. They drank water out the rock. They was in the desert, right? So they still had to be nourished. And your relationship has to be nourished. And whatever brought you together, you have to continue to nourish that. If you don't, it's going to drift and eventually die. All right? It's going to die. So whatever you neglect, it's going to die. And so many of us, we get so busy in our routines and being, being the next, power couple, and you working 50 hours, I'm working 50 hours, and we have no time for each other. And we building this big old, this vision, this dream, and we not even connected to it. The Bible says, what profit a man that gains the whole world but loses his soul? And what profit a couple to gain the whole world but lose their relationship? And so many couples get so focused on building that they drift without even seeing it. And that's how infidelity comes in. That's how all this stuff come in because they drifted. They stopped doing the things that brought them together in the first place. They began to be neglectful to each other and they neglected the areas that brought them together. And listen, if you date and you dated and went all these places, you can't stop doing that just because you had kids. I tell people all the time, you need to date once a week. Once a week. Like you should be dating once a week. Now, sometimes like you can't go out, but you can at least put aside quality time to date even at home. Literally, like, we used to do where, we would be watching these series and stuff like that. And me and Lady B, I make popcorn because I can make popcorn on the stove just like the movie theater. I got all the stuff to make it taste and smell like the movie theater and all that. My kids love it. Sometimes I'll make some popcorn, like say for instance, I know it's bad. It's a bad habit. But man, about 11 o'clock at night, man, I just be wanting some popcorn, man. And I make some popcorn and my kids wake up, boy, because that aroma go through the house and be like, popcorn, go pop yourself back in that bed. They love it. But it smells like the movie theater because I have the ingredients because I worked at the movie theater for years. So I know what the movie theater uses to make the popcorn they make. And so I order my popcorn online too, my kernels and stuff. I don't get it out the store. And so, man, we can have a movie theater experience with smoothies and all of that and then have to pay no money. But what we would do, we would wait until the kids go to bed and then we would have our time. That's dating. We're being intentional. We're spending quality time together, regardless. And you can do it. You don't have to have money. All you need to do is have a will and have time. What I mean by will, like you have to have the will to do it. That's how you have to do it. It don't have to be grandiose where you got to go over to this place and go to Ruth Chris and all that. You may not have Ruth Chris money. So you telling me you ain't going to go dating because you don't have $130. Well, no, it costs more than that. You don't have about $200 to go to Ruth Chris. No, you don't need that. Just be intentional, be creative to make opportunities for you guys to connect and continue to date each other. Because if that's what got you guys together, that needs to be nurtured and not neglected. And if we nurture what brought us together, then we will be able to grow stronger and stronger every day. But if we neglect what brought us together, we will grow weaker and drift until we literally break one day. All right. So we have to be intentional. What are you nurturing? What are you neglecting? If you neglect it, it's going to die. If you nurture it, it's going to grow. All right. So what area of your relationship, y'all know it was coming. What area of your relationship needs more intentional attention right now? What area of your relationship needs more intentional attention now? What area? What area? What area? Y'all talk to each other about that. If you're not with your spouse right now, your significant other, wait till they come. Go back and see this broadcast, and you guys can talk about it. I want you to talk about it. I put this together. I make it very interactive because literally what you guys are getting is counseling. You're getting some counseling right now, and so take full advantage of it. Like go through these questions, talk to each other about these questions. We about to have our couples check in. You guys know we have that. Not you see, we had a lot of questions because this is important. These are threats. These silent killers are killing our relationships. That's why divorce is so high because people are not looking at the deal breakers before they get married. They go and say I do, and they don't look at these deal breakers. Okay. So let's check in couples. And again, if you're not a couple and you're single, you can do these too. You can reflect as well. All right. Okay. All right. You can reflect as well. So what we're gonna do, I want you to rate your relationship. Rate it your relationship from 1 to 10 in the following areas. Okay. And I'm gonna post it. I'm gonna post it. All right. And I want you guys to sit down and talk about it. And I got some questions for you. So I'm gonna post it. Let me post it real quick. All right. I'm gonna post it. You're going to rate your relationship in these areas: respect, communication, forgiveness, trust, emotional connection, physical intimacy, and quality time. You're going to rate on a scale of 1 to 10 in these areas of your relationship. Then you're going to ask each other, which area scored the lowest? So you're going to look at all those areas and you're going to ask what area scored the lowest. And then you're going to say, what practical steps can we take this week, not next week, this week, to improve on these scores. I'm telling y'all, this is game changer, y'all. You guys, this is kind of stuff I do in my coaching. This is what I do with couples all the time. I'm giving it to you guys for free. So it's like this is going to change everything because if you be proactive, you won't be reactive. Again, one of my favorite quotes: if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So we got to have a plan to succeed. If we don't have a plan to succeed, we will fail. So this is something that you can check the health of your relationship and where you guys are in these things that are going on, because all of these are deal breakers. Respect is a deal breaker. Communication is a deal breaker. Forgiveness, which is unforgiveness, is a deal breaker. Distrust is a deal breaker. If we don't have emotional connection, it's a deal breaker. If we don't have physical, emotional, and intimacy, it's a deal breaker. And quality time definitely is a deal breaker because we got to do what we did to get the person, right? So, okay. So I'm going to post it in the chat. You guys that are on my personal Facebook, you may not see it. So what you need to do is go on my YouTube channel to see it. Okay. If you're on my personal Facebook, you need to go on my YouTube channel to see this because for whatever reason, the platform that I'm on, I do restream there. What's happening is that it did it all go through? Let me see. Did the whole thing go through? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the whole thing went through. Okay. I think did it go through? If it like you guys let me know, did the whole thing post to you? Did the discussion questions post to you? Because I'm seeing some where it looks like it cut it off. So y'all let me know in the chat. Did it all post to you? Because if it didn't, well, let me just put the discussion questions because I see it. I'm gonna just put the discussion questions too, just in case you guys didn't get the discussion questions. So let me put that real quick, okay? All right, I put the discussion questions too because it looks like some of you guys didn't get the discussion questions. So there you go. All right, but if you're on my personal Facebook, I need you to go to YouTube. Let me put the channel. Let me put the channel for you so you can my YouTube. You can go to my YouTube because what's happening is you're not going to see the questions. Okay, so I'm gonna give you my YouTube channel. All right, go to my YouTube. Oh, it came in. Okay, thank you, Ronald. All right, so I'm gonna give you my YouTube channel so you can go to my YouTube channel. Because you're probably not seeing my questions that I'm because it just stopped doing this a couple of weeks ago. And what I'm gonna do, guys, and this is a great time for me to tell you, I think I'm gonna create a channel for this real life relationship, a YouTube channel, and I'm gonna just push everything through there because what happens is a lot of times it's delayed. So when I see you guys questions or answers, like I'm already probably about a minute ahead of you guys. Okay, by the time I actually see your responses. So I think I'm just going to create a YouTube channel for next week for this. And I'll let you guys know. I put it on all the social media things to put the YouTube channel and how you can go and subscribe to the channel, so that you can get the, when we go live, you'll get it coming to your phone. And so I think I'm going to make a real life relationship, YouTube channel so that it'll be easy and I'll just go live on YouTube. And so now it's going to be in time. Like we're going to be, I don't have to use this software. I could just go live on YouTube. And so it'll be when you make a question or something, you're going to see it immediately. I'm going to see your response immediately. You're going to see my response immediately. And I think it's going to be good. Okay. So y'all stay up on that. Okay. So I think we're going to make it and you don't want to miss next week because man, I'm going to be dealing with, I'm going to just put this before we get into the relationship too, because I got a tool for you guys. Remember, every time I'm going to have a tool for you to use that's going to help you with each lesson. Okay. But next week, you don't want to miss it because, man, we're going to be talking about a subject that it gets talked about a lot. This word gets thrown around a lot. And so we're going to really uncover it next week. And that word is narcissism. All right. So I'm telling you, you don't want to miss next week because I'm going to talk about different types of narcissism. I'm going to talk about what narcissism is, what it looks like, what it's not. And so, you don't want to miss next week. I just promise you that. I promise you that. Like, cause I already, I've been putting it together already. And I'm telling you, man, you just don't want to miss it, okay? Because so many people call some things narcissism, and it's not, you know. And then some people are narcissists, and they don't want to accept it. So we're gonna talk about all that next week. So I'm telling you, y'all want to make sure. So I think that's gonna be befitting, because I'm telling you, like I want to be able to interact with y'all. And I don't want to be getting stuff delayed. So I think that's gonna be befitting that we're gonna be able to interact because I want y'all to talk to me next week because I'm got it. I'm about to go in. I'm about to go in on this subject on narcissism. I'm looking at the wrong thing. I'm looking up. I need to be looking up here at this camera. But I'm gonna be talking about narcissism. All right. So make sure you guys lock in because it's going down. All right. So let me give you this tool real quick. All right. So let me give you this tool real quick and we're gonna get up out of here. All right. I'm gonna let you guys go. I pray you guys enjoyed this, but please put this in your toolbox. This relationship tool that I'm about to give you to this week. Put this in your toolbox. All right, for you couples, you guys that are not couples, like if you're not a couple right now, fine. If you're just single, you still need this in your toolbox because you need to do this, right? This is something you need to do each week at least every other week, but you're going to see how this is important. Some of you all know how when you went through my counseling, I had the daily dialogue that you would do, that you'll be intentional with every day, the three questions you would ask each other. Okay. This is a weekly one. Okay. This is a weekly one where you need to set aside 15 minutes and you need to ask, how connected do you feel to me this week? Ooh. And this is you got to be honest and you got to be vulnerable. Again, in order to have a relationship that's built to last, in order to have healthy love, you got to be vulnerable and open and honest. All right. Y'all saw that in the threats. If you're not open and honest and vulnerable, it's not gonna work. Okay. So be open and honest and vulnerable, but also receive what your significant other has to say. All right. Receive what your significant other has to say. So, number one, how connected do you feel to me this week? And both of y'all ask each other that question and answer it. And you may need to take notes about it. All right. All right. Number two, is there anything I've done that hurt you? Ooh. And that's why y'all gotta be honest, because some of y'all are people pleasers and you guys will just suck it up, and that's the wrong thing because you're gonna implode and explode later on in life. So it's good now, 1 year into it, 6 months into it. But man, you get around year 3, 4, and 5, you're gonna start feeling it. You're gonna start feeling it if you're not being open and honest. If a person is hurting you, you just sweeping under the rug and saying, "Oh, it's okay." Now that okay is not gonna work. Okay, so that's why you need to be open and honest. Is there anything I've done to hurt you? You guys ask each other that question. This is just not for one side. This is for both of you guys to ask each other that question, and for you guys to be open and honest. And for the one that's receiving, always remember: listen to understand. Don't listen to respond or to judge. So bring a pad so that you can write it down so you don't interrupt them while they're telling you after you ask the question. Because if you ask the question, then listen to get the understanding. Because we don't want to just listen to respond. We want to listen to understand. So is there anything I've done that hurt you? And again, I'm gonna post this after I actually say it. Number three, is there anything you're carrying emotionally that I need to know about? Ooh, well, I'm telling you, bro, like the enemy mad about this because you know how many people and relationships could be saved if people would just have done this. Just have intentional conversation about things that people could be harboring. Is there anything you're carrying emotionally that I need to know about? Right? Anything. It could be something at your job. Because guess what? People can bring their job home and start stuff with their spouse. And it ain't even got nothing to do with the spouse. You could have had a bad day in traffic or whatever, and you bring that stuff home. So now if you're intentional, it's like, oh, so that's what was going on earlier today. That's what was going on yesterday. Now it's not carried into next week. And it's not carried into 2 and 3 weeks because now that you're dealing with that and then something else happened, it's like you can get overwhelmed and now you just emotionally all over the place. So is there anything, because all of these questions, a family that prays together stays together. That's the thing we want to do. We want to be able, when you're in your prayer time, you're going to be able to know what to pray for your spouse because you guys are being intentional with being open, honest, and vulnerable with each other. This is a game changer, y'all, because a lot of people are not this intentional. You might have these conversations every 2 or 3 months, but that's too late. You need to do this every week so you can get ahead of stuff. You can be able to recognize the little triggers. You can recognize the little things that's trying to come in and make your relationship explode or drift away. The neglect, because sometimes you may need to step up in an area so that the person won't feel neglected. These questions are going to help you with that. Is there anything you're carrying emotionally that I need to know about? Number 4, how can I love you better this week? Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. See what love does? Love is not about receiving. Love is about giving. Love is about a choice. How can I love you better this week? You heard me? Y'all know some of y'all from New Orleans. You dig. How can I love you better this week? That's number 4. And number 5, how can I pray for you this week? Because what you're going to do when you ask that question, you're going to also put down the things from the other questions that you need to be praying for, plus what they say that they need you to pray for. And you're going to take that to the Lord. Because a family that prays together stays together. And when we're united in prayer, we bring God into a three-braided cord. A three-stranded cord is not easily broken. When you're both abiding in God, like literally, like there's nothing you can't do. But apart from him, you can't do anything. So we got to bring him in the middle. We hear that Israel Houghton, Jesus at the center of my life. Jesus at the center, and then he says Jesus at the center of the church and all that. But Jesus needs to be the center of our relationships, right? And there's an old song back in the day, Jesus, you're the center of my joy. Y'all remember that song? And so our family choir used to sing that song. I used to background when I was like 6 years old. I remember that. We had a Burton's family choir, and I used to background our Burton's family choir when I was like 6, man. And that was one of the songs that they used to sing. I used to love that song. But Jesus is the center. He needs to be the center of everything, right? And so now, if we make him the center because we're abiding in him, we can ask these questions and we can receive the feedback because now we know how to pray. All right. So let me post that. This gonna bless y'all this week. I'm telling y'all, it's gonna bless you. It's gonna bless you. All right. So this is gonna help you guys to address these problems quickly, right? Before the problem literally turns into a crisis, right? It's going to help you to be able to really address these problems, expose the problems quickly, and be able to deal with them in a timely manner so the problems that you're dealing with now don't put you in crisis later. Okay. So let me post it. Let me post it right now. I'm gonna post it right now. All right. Let's get it. Let's get it. There we go. All right, there y'all go. There it is right there. You got all of them. Okay. You got all of them. All right. All right. All right. So I want you guys to talk. Well, it's gonna be hard to do this because the simple fact is delayed. But I want y'all to put in the chat when you guys hear this, okay? I want y'all to answer. All right. I want y'all to answer these, and then I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back and re-answer them once you guys put in the chat. Okay. I'm gonna go back and re-answer. That's how we're gonna do it. Where I go? Oh, there we go. I'm gonna go back and re-answer them, okay? I'm gonna go back and re-answer them. Number one, can trust be rebuilt after it's broken? Yes or no? Yes or no? Can trust be rebuilt? Ike, good to see you. Miss Lakeitha, good to see you guys on. Can trust be rebuilt if it's broken? Be honest. Can trust be rebuilt if it's broken? All right. That's number one. Let me put it in this. Let me put it in the chat. Can trust be rebuilt? And I want you guys to answer that. Okay. And because of the delay, I'm gonna just go to the next one, and then I'm gonna come back and answer all of them. Okay. Because I want to know what you guys think, and tell me yes, it can and why it can, or tell me no and why it can't. Okay. So can trust be rebuilt after it's broken? Number two, what's the biggest threat facing relationships today? What's the biggest threat facing relationships today? Again, answer these like, no answer is wrong. I just want to see what you guys are thinking. Okay. I want to see what you guys are thinking. All right. Nobody is wrong. I want to see what you're thinking. And again, I'm going to go back and answer these, but I'm going to answer them based upon the answers that you guys give me. Okay. All right. So what's the biggest threat facing relationships today? All right. What is the biggest threat facing relationships today? All right. All right. Number three. How do I know if we're drifting apart? How do you know that? How do you know if you're drifting apart? Okay. How do you know if you're drifting apart? Well, y'all getting a lesson tonight. But we've been on this thing for an hour and what? We've been live for an hour and 32 minutes. So I'm going in tonight, y'all. Going in tonight. So y'all getting it. Y'all getting it. Boy, you getting the blueprint tonight. Put them emojis. Y'all know my favorite emojis. If you know my favorite emojis, put them in the chat. All right. But you getting the blueprint tonight for real. For real, for real. All right. So how do I know if we're drifting apart? Okay. Answer that. Okay. And again, I'm going to go back based upon you guys' answers. I'm going to answer. Okay. And so that's why I know this thing is delayed, because I've gone through all three of the questions, and no answers have popped up yet. So yeah, we're gonna go to the YouTube. So y'all be on the lookout for that next week. Be on the lookout for for because I'm gonna make the channel and I'm gonna post it. I'll probably do some clips from this video, and I'll post the new channel. And I'll probably add the clips to that channel too. And so you can click on it. And I may put the full, I'll see if I can put the full message on that channel. If I could put the full message, can be able to, I don't know if I can be able to do it. I probably can't, but I'll see. But I'll have that channel for you guys soon. Okay. All right. I'll get it done. All right. So nobody answered yet. So I'm going to just go ahead and give you my answers. If you answered, then it's just coming in slow. But what's the biggest threat? No, that's not the first thing. Can trust be rebuilt, right, after it's broken? Can trust be rebuilt after it's broken? Is it this delayed, or you guys are scared to answer? Because we got a lot of people online. from the different platforms. So is it that people are afraid to answer? Somebody put in the chat. Put an emoji in the chat so I can see. Put an emoji. Somebody put an emoji in the chat. Let me see how delayed it is. Okay. And so yeah, we definitely gonna go to the YouTube because we got a bunch of people online right now and nobody's responded. All right. Somebody put an emoji in the chat so I can see how delayed it is. Okay. All right. But can trust be rebuilt after it's broken? Can trust be rebuilt after it's broken? And the answer is yes, right? The answer is yes. Trust can be rebuilt. It's a difficult path, but it can be rebuilt. What has to happen? Man, you have to make the decision to be totally transparent. We got to put accountability in place. We got to be consistent with our transparency and our honesty and our accountability. And we got to make time. We got to be committed. We got to make time for it. It takes time. And I preached on this, like, well, not preached on it. I did this, like I said, 3 years ago, about 2 or 3 years ago when I was doing the podcast back then. Um, okay, man, yeah, that's delayed because we just finally got the first one come in. Boy, that's delayed that was about 5 minutes. That was about 4 minutes. Ooh, that's a big delay. Oh my goodness. Wow. I didn't know the delay was that huge. Like, oh my goodness. Wow, that's a huge delay. Okay. All right. So man, we delayed big time. Okay, so definitely we're gonna change it up next week. We're gonna definitely change it up next week. Cause that was about a 4 to 5 minute delay that answer came in. All right, but yeah, so we have to be intentional with being honest, being transparent, being accountable. We have to be consistent in our transparency and our accountability. We gotta be open and honest even to a thought, right? And we got to make the time to do it. But it can be rebuilt. It's hard, it's difficult, but we have to be all in, committed, and being the person needs to be vulnerable. And this is the thing, like you cannot don't. And people do this all the time. Where people like, well, if you're a Christian, you should do this and do that. Like, look, I can forgive you, but the Lord ain't told me to forget it. Like the thing is, like certain things, it's gonna be hard to forget. And it's okay. You don't have to forget it. You want to work. What you're working on is that when you remember it, it don't still cause you pain. If it's still causing you pain, that means you have unforgiveness still. It should not be causing you pain. There's a difference between pain and like some emotion there, right? And you got to be careful even with the emotion because that still could be some unforgiveness there. But say if it's just something that's a sad situation, you'd be like, man, that just was sad. That's okay. But like you get emotional, it's like, man, it gets you down and out. Like you got some unforgiveness there, right? Because it's still causing you pain. If that motion leads to pain, like you still got unforgiveness. So that's the thing. We have to be careful with that. All right. So we have to give people time to heal from what we do. So you can't rush them. You can't use the Bible against them to like, control them. Like you gotta let a person heal because you shouldn't have did it in the first place. And when you did it, you can't control how they reacted and how it affected them. You may be different. Well, yeah, I forgave you. It took me that long. You can't compare you to them. Y'all are two different beings. Y'all are two different personalities, two different upbringings. So you can't compare how you deal with it to them. The thing is, you did it, you take ownership of it, and you do whatever it takes to restore that trust. That's how that works. So you have to humble yourself and literally be willing to walk in restoration. Remember that part? In the humility, pride is when we don't want to walk in the restoration because we got to do it how we want to do it. Humility says, whatever needs to be done, I'm gonna walk through this restoration process. And so you take your time through it, okay? But yes, trust can be rebuilt. It can. It definitely can. I've walked people through that where it's actually happened. Okay. Amen, somebody. All right. Second question. What's the biggest threat facing relationships today? What's the biggest threat? Right? What is the biggest threat? And so many relationship problems like ultimately like connect and they don't make it because of what? They don't make it, right? They don't make it. Why they don't make it? Respect, y'all, right? Many relationship problems ultimately like they disconnect and it's just like, man, boom, they drifting, and it breaks. So the disconnect happens, they drift, and then it breaks. I don't love you no more. I done fell out of love with you. Well, we need to go ahead and get a divorce. We need to do that's how all that stuff, because the disconnection happens, the disruption happens, and then it's just drift. And what is that? It's the lack of respect. It's poor communication, right? Unresolved hurt, issues that we haven't resolved, right? Pride, emotional disconnection, like all of these things, right to this day, that our relationships face. These are the biggest things. These things are the biggest. The respect one is huge. The poor communication, because I'm telling y'all, man, when I give people assessments when you come through me for counseling and coaching, I give you assessments, and usually 9 times out of 10, some almost 10 times out of 10. Actually, no, 10 times out of 10. If a couple has been struggling, one of the areas that need to grow in is communication. If they're struggling, so that definitely is the big one of the biggest, and probably the biggest, because if you can't communicate, you can't connect, and if you can't connect, you can't grow, and if you can't grow, then you starve, and then it dies. So if you can't grow and nurture your relationship, it's going to die. And if you don't know how to connect in order to be make it nurturing, you guys come together to nurture it, then it's going to die. Some of y'all relationships on life support because you don't know how to nurture it, because you don't know how to connect. So the biggest stress that's facing relationships today is poor communication, the lack of respect, pride, unresolved hurt through unforgiveness, and emotional disconnection. Okay. Those are the ones I came up with. You might have some more, but those are the ones I came up with. Okay. All right. Number 3, how do I know if we're drifting apart? How do I know? How do I know if we're drifting apart? This is how you know when your conversation becomes shallow, right? There's no substance to your conversations. That is a dead giveaway that the conversation is drifting, especially for men. Ladies, when your man just said, chilling, I'm good. Now, if that's how they was at first, then this don't work. But if they get to the place where they just get on one short answer, something is wrong. Something is wrong. Okay? And some men don't talk about it. They compartmentalize. They compartmentalize and they'll hold it until like it tear them up. So ladies, be intentional with looking at, and that's why if you ask each other those questions, you're gonna get to the nitty gritty of that stuff before it become a problem. If you do the assessment, if you sit there, ask them 5 questions I gave you guys, like literally every week, just take 15 minutes. It'll save your marriage. It'll help you. It'll help you expose different things that may be happening. But ladies, if that man start giving you short answers, know something is wrong. All right. Fellas, same thing. If that woman stopped talking and giving you short answers, and really could like really talking to you like that, something is wrong. That your relationship is drifting. Okay, that's one way. Another way is when the quality time that you used to spend together and that you used to prioritize decreases. That's a dead giveaway when you stop making time to spend quality time together and it's starting to decrease. You put it in place and now it's decreasing little bit by little bit. Every time it decreases, you drift. Every time it decreases, you drift. It don't matter. Well, this happened. Well, give me a rain check. It's going to decrease, especially fellas. For the women, a lot of women love quality time. That's their love language. All right. So when it comes down to that quality time, like prioritize it. Like don't put something else in place of that time if it's set. By all means, keep the quality time in place. Trust me on this. You are going to fill up that love tank, and I'm telling you, it's going to work for your good. So keep the quality time in place. If you literally put something in place, it's even better that you tell them, like, look, this came up, but I told them that I couldn't do it because I had already prior engagements. And they be like, man, you turned that down? I'm telling you, fellas, I'm telling you, listen to your boy. I'm telling you, you do that. Do that. Babe, I had this going on and you know how much I love to go do this, but man, I turned that down because I know the night was about me and you. I'm telling you, see what happened that night. See what happened that night. Hey, that's only for you guys that's married. You guys that are dating, be careful. Be careful. All right. So when quality time that you used to spend decreases, that's when you're drifting. Okay. I'm gonna give you 2 more. When you all's emotional connection weakens. When you all's emotional connection weakens, where you can notice it. You can notice it. It ain't even about just regular connection. It's the emotional connection. You'll see it how you guys talk to each other. You'll see it how you guys respond to each other. You'll see it how you guys even laying in the bed together. You'll see it. You'll see what your emotional connection is. And if your emotional connection is weakening, for whatever reason, it don't matter why it's weakening, you are drifting apart. Again, I'm telling you, some of you are, this going to save your marriage. This lesson tonight is going to save your marriage, because if you go and implement this stuff, you are going to put a fireproof marriage in place so that you're going to be able to trigger these things immediately and you can get help as soon as this stuff start happening, instead of you being reactive, you being proactive. All right. So when you all's emotional connection starts weakening, that's where it is. Boom, boom, boom. We got to deal with this. We got to deal with this. Okay. All right, last one. When unresolved conflict becomes normal in your relationship, this is a big one. When we just sweep it under the rug. You guys hear me alluding to this and hinting to this all the time. When you sweep this kind of stuff under the rug, no matter what, I don't care how small it is. Lady B can tell y'all, when we first met, I told her, I said, look, I don't give a care if I spit on like wrong, like we walking, if I spit on the sidewalk and you don't like that, please let me know. Let me know. Some people are like, that's dumb. Why does she even care? That's just something. No, let me know. Because if you'd rather me spit in the grass, I'll spit in the grass. See, as long as I get to spit, I don't give a care why I spit. See, pride to say, man, why you asking me something dumb like that? I've been spitting on the sidewalk all my life. That ain't hindering you. We finna walk right past it. I ain't spitting near you. That's pride. Humility says, okay, babe, I spit in the grass. Thank you. That's humility. All right. Like, so, because that little situation, you can turn your wife off because you like, man, please, I'm going to spit on this sidewalk. Like, this ain't your sidewalk. This ain't my sidewalk. Why you care? Oh, never mind. Forget it. And now she's frustrated. And now when you get home, she's frustrated. And you got a frustrated wife over something that literally was external and not a part of your relationship. And fellas, you don't need no more frustration. You don't need no more elements coming into your relationship to cause any division. Ladies, same thing. So keep the external foolishness out. Humble yourselves. And if the person say they would rather you spit in the grass, just spit in the grass and keep it moving. That should be nothing to you. If you can't do that, you are dealing with pride, my friend. You're dealing with pride. All right? All right. Well, this week, y'all, don't focus on fixing your spouse. Don't focus on fixing them. Don't focus on fixing your boyfriend or your girlfriend either. All right. So don't focus on fixing your spouse. Don't focus on fixing your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your significant other. Ask God to reveal which threat you may be contributing to. Hear me good. This is the humility part. Ask God this week which threat that you are contributing to. See, this is the time when you get in your personal prayer time. That's what I want you to do. This ain't even a time when y'all talk about all that stuff and all that. When you get by yourself, you go to God. God, what threat am I contributing to, Lord? Help me understand. And then ask God, help me to take ownership of this. Lord, how do I take ownership of this? Help me to take ownership of it. And then make sure you have that honest conversation with your spouse, with your significant other, with your boyfriend, your girlfriend. All right. Make sure you have that's talk. Now, this is the thing. Talk this week, address one issue. Don't address all of them. Pick one issue that you guys are going to navigate. All right. Pick one issue. Right? It could be the thing that you say, how can I love you better this week? Like, out of all this stuff and what you're asking, pick one thing. I don't want you to focus on a whole bunch of stuff. You get overwhelmed. When starting out, just focus on one thing at a time. All right? One thing. So just address one issue. Like just one. You may have 10 of them tonight. By the time you look at, we only got 7 threats, but you may have 10 issues that came out of this lesson. But just focus and address one. Just address one. Just address one. And then take one step toward healing. All right. One step, because y'all know I say it all the time. Healthy relationships, right, don't happen by accident. They're built with intention. So be intentional this week. You got the blueprint for these threats. Now go work it out. Amen. So thank you, family. I love you guys. Thank you for joining tonight for another episode of Real Life Relationship, a Blueprint for Healthy Love. If tonight's conversation helped you, be sure to share this episode with a friend, with a loved one, with your spouse, of course, with your spouse. Share it to your timeline, share it, take the link down and share it with somebody, share it with them, that somebody that can benefit from it. All right. That's what this is all about. I want to help couples everywhere. All right. So join us next time as we continue, right, helping people build healthy relationships God's way. All right. And so if you guys would like to give, you guys can give. I'll put it in the chat. And so, again, I'm praying for you guys. I thank God for you guys. God is good, man. He's good. And so I just, I appreciate you guys supporting the channels. But next week, we're going to make it one channel. We're going to do it that way. And we're going to have a real life relationship channel. And we're going to do that. All right. And so I appreciate you guys coming on. Thank you guys. And so I pray that you were blessed by this lesson. And if you missed the part 1 from last week, go back and read it. Go back and do it. If you missed part 1 from last week, go back and see it. Go back and go over it, and also do the questions. Like, that's why I make this interactive. Do the questions, okay? Do the questions so that you guys can really navigate this and really understand how to build healthy love. Not just think you loving each other, but actually build healthy love. Because we want to stop building lust. We want to build healthy love. Because some of us got married and we were in lust and we thought we was in love. And that's why we start saying, I'm not in love with you no more. No, you're not in lust with me no more. Because you don't fall out of love with somebody, because love is not a feeling or something you can fall out of, because it's always a choice. Amen, somebody. So I love you guys. Again, you see the different ways you can give right there through Cash App and Zelle. I appreciate your support and all of this. And so again, share this thing. I'm gonna post about. I'm probably gonna make it tomorrow. Make the channel tomorrow so we can get ready to be on the Real Life Relationship channel, so that I can get you guys. Because man, that thing was 4 to 5 minutes delay. So we definitely gotta fix that. So I'm gonna just go live on YouTube with our Real Life Relationship channel, and so you guys subscribe to it so that we can get that channel going. All right. So I love you guys. God bless you. If this bless you, put a comment in the section, tell me that it bless you. Put the emojis, put my favorite emojis. For you new people, my favorite emojis is the fire emoji and the explosion emoji. Why? Because I'm a 4th of July baby. And this year, I'm going to have to celebrate my birthday, not on the 4th of July, because y'all know what happened. It's the country's 250th birthday. So that's going to be hard to celebrate my birthday on the country's birthday this year, because it's 250 years. But, I'm going to get my fireworks in, you dig? So I'm looking forward to that. So birthday about 3 weeks away, so I'm looking forward to that. All right. But blessings to everybody. I love you guys. Thank you for supporting. God bless you guys. Have a blessed night. All right. Good night. And next week, remember, we talk about narcissism. We're going to break it down, so you don't want to miss next week. We're going to talk about it, what it is, what's a narcissist, what kind of narcissists are there in the world, what is not a narcissist. We're going to talk about all that. We're breaking it down, all right? Because too many people be using that word, and too many people don't know what it really is. And some people are dealing with it and don't know what it is. And so you cannot defeat your enemy unless you recognize it. And your enemy is not each other. We don't wrestle against flesh and blood. So we got to uncover the things that are hindering us. And so some people have these narcissistic tendencies, and they need to be aware of it and how you fix it. All right. So I love you guys. God bless you. Look forward. Look out for the channel, the new channel for the Real Life Relationship podcast that I'm going to be making probably tomorrow. All right. Love you guys. Blessings. Have a good night.